Hey everybody, this is Frilioth and welcome back to another Minecraft video on the Frilioth server. Right, I've got a little bit to show you before we crack on today because I've done a little bit of work off camera. It's just aesthetics really, but I thought I'd just show you what it is. So before we get started, I know I said that I was umming and ahhing about what to do with the staircase, but having thought about it, my initial plan was to keep the mansion, apart from this wraparound pergola thing, wraparound porch thing. I was hoping to keep the mansion as close to its original design as possible and just adapt the rooms to turn it into a base basically. So with that in mind, I've decided to rebuild the staircase. So I popped over to my other mansion, which is quite a way up north. I flew up there and took a few measurements and rebuilt the staircase that was here. So initially it was sort of, where would it have been, in line with this window? So it would have been here, going up that way. And around. It's now moved over here a little bit, so it's now bang in the middle of the mansion. Now it's caused me a couple of problems. It caused me a couple of problems. Firstly, it means that I'm going to have to change the size of these rooms down here because I've now got quite a big ugly gap under the stairs. But I'll deal with that as and when I need to. And secondly, I've had the same problem on the first floor. So this room now started sort of here. It was 7 blocks wide. What would it have been? Just here. And the stairs would have finished here. But obviously they've moved over a little bit, which means I've had to make this room a little bit bigger, which means it's no longer the standard size for one of the rooms in the mansion. Now I don't know whether that's going to bug me enough to put it back. I never thought about that when I was ripping the walls down and rebuilding them, but I don't know. I'll think about that. And the other problem being this here is completely hollow and it's not really big enough for any kind of room. And that does bug me, so I am going to have to do something about that. But what I want to do today, firstly today, I'm going to need I think I'm going to need an AFK fisher. And I think this is probably the perfect spot to put an AFK fisher. So I'm going to stick it here. So let me lob down a bit of redstone-y goodness and some of this stuff. Grab a few bits that I'm going to need. I'm going to probably need some dark oak. I'm going to need some chests. I've got some chests. Going to need a note block. Going to need some string, some a repeater, some of those, some hoppers definitely. I'm going to need a wooden pressure plate just to keep in with the theme. Normally I'd use a stone one, but it doesn't really make a great deal of difference on this build whether it's stone or whether it's wood. So we'll have a wooden one. So to start with, get my trusty axe out. Start off, we'll pop that block out. See, there's nothing through there at the moment. We're going to put, I don't know what we're going to put through here. I was going to say we're going to put something through here. I don't know what we're going to put in there yet. So at the moment this is not going to cause me a problem. So if we stick a note block there, a block there, a block there, that there, that there. That doesn't want to go there. And that there. Are you following me so far? Are you keeping up with me? Let's get rid of these because I'm not sure yet which side I want my chests on. We need to get rid of that and we'll probably actually let's put the chests down first and then I know where I'm working. We put the chests there. Now the eagle-eyed of you, and I'm sure Ron's going to spot this before I even mention it, that chest won't open with that solid block above it. So I need, and I haven't bought myself one of these, so I need to make one of these. We need to change those into a couple of stairs. Now if I just put a stair there, and it's something I've done in the past and you may well have noticed it before, if I stick a stair on there now, yes, the chest will open, but it looks ugly because we can see through it. So, in order to combat that and make it look like a solid block, we need to face that way, stick the stair like that, and then another stair like that. And now it looks like a solid block from this side, but you can still open the chest. It's magic. Alright, one of them. We are going to have to start trading with our villagers sooner rather than later, because I've now got loads of pumpkins and melons. I've also got a load of raw meat for the butcher to find out what his trades are. So I'm going to be doing that. And I think later on this episode, I think I'm going to be making a Sugarcane Farm so we can start trading with the librarians and whatever. But I need to talk through the plans I have with the Sugarcane Farm before we build it. Just to see what you think. Oh, I've done it again. What am I doing? Frills, you're a madman. Jump 2. Have I mentioned how good Jump 2 is? I love Jump 2. We need that. So anyway, if you've not seen my AFK Fisher before, then I'll stick a link to the tutorial up on the screen now. So you can go and build it yourself. It's survival friendly, works on servers. It's adjustable. You don't need. It's not very complicated. In fairness, it is really, really easy to build. But I would say that because I built it. A bit of redstone. Now the big beauty of this automatic fisher, AFK fisher, is that you can adjust the tick rate on it. Because in a single player, if this was in my single player world, and how many times can I say single player? But if it was on my single player world, that would be fine. Because there's no delay, you throw your rod in to the water, it's picked up by it's detected by the tripwire hook, which puts a signal through this, which will lift up the trapdoor, which I don't have. I hope I've got an iron trapdoor. I don't have an iron trapdoor. I'm going to run off and get an iron trapdoor, but by the magic of television, I've got myself an iron trapdoor, and it goes on. Which way round do we want it? We'll have it that way round. And where was I? So yeah, it picks it up straight away, and there's no delay, and it's fine. However, sometimes on a server, you have to stick a bit of a delay in, which is what the repeater's for. So I'll stick a repeater in just in case we need it. I don't know what the tick rate's going to be on here just yet, but we'll work that out later. So now we need a block in front of it, just there. We need the wooden pressure plate. There it is. On there. Now, amazingly enough, that will hold the water in. I've got my ice. And amazingly enough, that is an AFK fisher. Now, for this to be really, really, really efficient, we need it to rain, and we need it to rain onto that water. It's no good it raining outside if the rain isn't hitting the water. So we need to put a hole in the ceiling, and there's no point in sticking a hole in the ceiling above this and then covering it with glass, because again the water won't be able to come through. So there's no point in doing it. So what we're going to have to do is stick a hole in the ceiling, in the roof, and just hope that nothing falls through it, and hope I get it in the right place. It's not the right place, is it? Is that the right? And hope nothing comes through. If something falls through, then well, I'll have to. I don't know what I'm going to do. Put a fence around it on the roof, maybe. Oh my word! Feels you an absolute nightmare. Never give a boy a man's job. Better. Right, so now if I grab myself my... I haven't been and fetched a decent rod either. I've still got myself a rubbish rod. And if you aim at the trap door, you see at the moment it's opening and closing, so I'm going to need a delay, a different tick on the repeater. So we'll try it on 2 ticks. There you go, working. So now using the F11 AFK trick, which unfortunately will no longer work in 1.13. Thank you, Mojang. Or is it Mojang? I've heard Suzuma says Mojang and it just sounds wrong. Although the J is probably pronounced as a Y somewhere in the world. It's Mojang. I'm going to call it Mojang. Anyway. Okay, so maybe it's going to mess about with me a little bit. So let's try it on 3. Now I'm going to have to AFK here for quite a little bit. Yeah, 3 seems to be working. If I AFK here for quite a little bit, I'm going to get a decent rod. I'm going to get more and more decent equipment, or I'm going to get books. But at the moment I've got a really pants rod. So the majority of what I'm going to be catching is going to be cod or a bit of salmon. I might get a few puffer fish and a lot of junk. I'm probably going to get a lot of junk out of this. But if I AFK for long enough, I'm going to get a couple of decent rods. I'm going to be able to combine them. And then sooner or later, I'll be able to make myself a decent rod. And once I've got lure and I've got luck of the sea on this rod, I'm going to be able to get all kinds of fantastic stuff. So I'm going to AFK here for a little while. And probably go and watch England play India in the T20 cricket that's currently on for half an hour. And then we'll have a look at what I've caught when I get back. Okay, well I didn't quite get 30 minutes out of it because the fishing rod broke, but it has been raining, so I'm hoping I got a little bit lucky, and I haven't. Really, I've got a knockback 2 book. That's not bad, I suppose. Grab that. I need to go and get some more string and a few more sticks, but that's for about 20 minutes. What time is it? 1843 started it. Yeah, about 15 minutes of AFK fishing with a really pants rod, and I've got myself quite a bit of decent. Well, I've got myself some stuff anyway. I've certainly got myself some puffer fish, which I can go and throw in the potion room to make some potions of water breathing, which is a good start. So I think I'm going to. No, I won't. I'm not going to do any more fishing. I'll do my fishing later. Just want to talk through something with you now before I go ahead and do it. Now, you know that in this room here we've got our Pumpkin and Melon Farm, which is working really well. In fairness, I'm quite pleased with it. We do lose a few pumpkins and melons, but then I knew we would. So it's not a big deal. But I walked in here the other day, and I walked in and I thought, wow, this room's still huge. You know, we've filled half of it up. We've filled half of it with a Pumpkin and Melon Farm. I was going to stick a load of storage in here, but isn't that just a waste of a room? I thought that was probably just a massive waste of a room. Even though, as I say, I'm not going to be short of pumpkins and melons. I'm certainly going to be able to do a fair bit of trading. So what I thought about, why aren't you working? Work quicker.
Sorry.
So what I thought was, instead of just having this as a pumpkin and a melon room all the way to the top, why don't we have it as a pumpkin and melon on one side and a sugarcane on the other side? I'm going to have to rip this out and spin it round. I'm probably going to put this against this wall. And then we'll rebuild, or then I will build a sugarcane farm over here. I'll show you what I'm doing before I build it. So we'll move that over to there, and then I'll bring you back in again and I'll show you how I'm going to be building the sugarcane farm. Okay, so I've got the pumpkin and melon section moved over to the right hand side, and I forgot, but it's going to affect the door because the glass is going to be in the way. I'm a little bit annoyed about that. There's nothing I can do about it. So hey-ho, it'll have to do. So that's the pumpkin and melon section moved. I'm now going to build the sugarcane section over on this side, and there are 2 sugarcane farms that I could have used. Now there's the one that I pretty much always use. I made a tutorial on it, and it works brilliantly. It's lossless when you have one level and you have minecarts running underneath. But when you try and stick multiple levels of it, it falls down a little bit, and I'll just explain why. So you've got the piston there. Observers. You've got an observer like that. Blocks, got some blocks, and then you've got a solid block over there and there with a blob of dust just there, and that runs all the way down. That'll run all the way down. Now, once you, and I don't have any sugarcane on me, so I can't demonstrate this with proper sugarcane, but if you put sugarcane on there and then there, when it grows over the observer, that happens and it breaks the sugarcane. But then the top piece falls straight down on top of the dirt, which is no good if you need it to fall down like through several levels, because at the moment that would just fall onto this level and they'd be stacked up. We'd have sugarcane just lying on the dirt all the way down. So although this is perfect and it's a fantastic system, actually, if you want to build this on one level, I'll put a description to my tutorial. Sorry, I'll put a link to my tutorial in the top right hand corner of the screen now. But if you want this on one level, this is absolutely lossless. You have minecarts running underneath. That breaks the sugarcane. It falls down onto this dirt and then it's picked up by the minecart. But I needed a different system for this to work, because that system wouldn't work. It just, I'd lose more than I'd gain. So we're going to have to use that system. So we're going to need a sticky piston. Is that too close? We'll have a sticky piston there. Sticky piston there. We want an observer there. And then solid block just there. Observer just there. Block, and then repeater on 2 ticks. Now you do use a lot more resources in this contraption and it is bigger. However, the benefit being you have the sugarcane growing on that block. That block there would be dirt. You have a sugarcane growing on that block. When it reaches this block, it pushes it out. And because it pushes it out, it pushes it over the edge of the drop. So even if the sugarcane is right at the very top, in theory it will push it out and let it fall down. We are going to lose a few, but nowhere near as much as we would lose if we used that system. So this is a system I'm going to go with. And if we use glass on here, then we can put water directly above this observer. And then the next level can, so we've got one level here, and then we can have the next level here. So this can be really compact. I'm sat here squeezing my hands together, which obviously you can't see. But I'll do a couple of lines of it and then bring you back and you can have a look at it. But it's a really compact system, and I should be able to get loads of lines. I mean, it's 3 high, 2 high, 3 high, 1, 2, 3, maybe 2 or 3 high. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. No, it's 2 high, isn't it? 1, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We might even get 8 lines, or 8 rows of contraptions in, or 8 rows of sugarcane, and we're going to have 15 of them running all the way along. So that's lots. I'm talking again when I should be doing. So let me knock up the bottom row, and then we'll have a shufty at it, and then I can explain where we are going to be putting the all of the storage. So we've got one row in, and it's looking mighty fine already. We're going to have loads of sugarcane. It's going to be fantastic. Now, to get the next row in, we need to stick down some dirt, and this is going to be the thing that's repeated all the way up. We need to put some dirt in here. Now, with the bottom, we haven't needed to put any water next to that dirt, because the water that carries the sugarcane away once it falls down was in the right place for that, so we didn't need it at the bottom, but we are going to need it on this level. Going to need it without falling down in there either. Frills. Jump 2. Have I mentioned how brilliant jump 2 is? Hopefully I'm going to be able to grab this before it falls. Down, yes we did. Like that. So the water needs to go on these observers here. And to do that we need to obviously put a line of blocks here. Now if I put solid blocks here, it would interfere with the quasi-connectivity of those sticky pistons. If that was a solid block, when that fired, it would just keep going. It wouldn't stop. It would just keep shooting out, back in and out, and back in and out and back in. But because it's connected via quasi, it doesn't. It just goes out and comes back. So we need this to be a non-solid block, i.e. glass. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll call it 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So those two water source blocks now will hydrate, or they won't hydrate the farmland, but they'll allow us to plant sugarcane on there, and then we can start the next row. But before I do that, there's no point building it all just yet, because I need to run off and grab myself some sugarcane. So I think that's what I'm going to do. Also on these levels, and I've not done it down the bottom, I haven't done it here because I'm concerned that those blocks there would be a little bit too close to the ice. If that ice under there melts, it's going to break the system. So normally I would have put glowstone on there. I'm probably just going to put some dark oak. Oh, block placement. Absolute genius. Like that. But on the subsequent levels on here, we can put glowstone because that will be far enough away from the ice, and we won't have to worry about it. Now I don't know whether you need. I don't think you need light for sugarcane to grow. However, light will stop mobs, and light looks nice, so we'll have light. Let there be light. So I'm going to run off and grab some sugarcane, hopefully enough to just get us going, and then we might even see it working. Okay, so I've managed to acquire 14 pieces of sugarcane. And just so you can see what happens, once it grows, and I'm sure you understand this, but once it grows up there, that happens and it falls down and goes off down the water into the collection area. And that in turn comes down all of these hoppers and goes into this dropper here. And what this dropper is going to do is fire an item elevator. We're going to put the solid blocks back in here again. It's going to shoot this upstairs to the room above here. And up there we're going to have some kind of sorting system, and then we're going to have the items filtered down into these chests, and then we can trade using whatever's in those chests, which I think is going to be superb. So that can be covered over now. I've shown you that. As you can see, it's only going to be one wide. Once the glass goes in here, there's going to be no room at all. So let me grab a little bit of glass, and then I'm probably just going to have to wait around until it starts to grow and we start getting a little bit of sugarcane from it. But you might just be able to see how it's going to look when we come in. I mean, that's actually not as bad as I thought it was going to be. I thought it might have been a lot worse than that. Obviously that won't be there. So Yeah, I'm going to sit around. I'm going to get some more sugarcane and probably build the rest. I mean, hopefully you understand. You understand how this works now, don't you? Of course you do. Of course you do. I'm worrying over nothing. Okay. Back in a minute. Just this last little bit to do. And we have it finished. That is our pumpkin, melon and sugarcane room. All done. And it's working like a charm. And so far I don't know how much I've got in there. But I'm sure it's loads. So anyway, that'll have to do for today, everybody. In the next episode, I think we'll probably work on the sorting system. We'll hook that up to a little clock underneath, which is going to fire the items up there once it's filled up with solid blocks into the room above, and we'll probably have the sorting system just above there, so we can have wheat and potatoes and carrots and sugarcane and, you know, pumpkins and melons all in chests along here, and we'll move the entrance over to there, which will allow us to trade with the villagers at long last. But it's been an immense effort on my part, and I'm really happy with how it's turned out. Oh, I'm going to have to sort out the sign as well, but I'm very happy with the way it's turned out. Actually, it's not as claustrophobic in there as I thought it was going to be, and the glass, certainly the glass walkway above, helps. So I'm afraid we are going to have to call it a day for today then, everybody. Thank you very much for watching. I really do hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, please don't forget to leave it a like, and if you've really loved it, don't forget to subscribe for future videos. This is Frilioth, and I'm out of here.